Hey friends, Carmel Holt here. As you know, times are tough for public radio and audio. And as a tiny independent feminist production company that makes SHEROES for public radio and for this podcast, we're getting hit pretty hard with financial shortfalls. Simultaneously, this is a moment where women, trans folks, non-binary, and queer folks need a safe space to be heard. And at SHEROES, we're more committed than ever before to our mission of turning up the volume of underrepresented voices in music. But to keep going, I need your help. And I have big news. SHEROES has partnered with the nonprofit AIR, the Association of Independents in Radio, and we've launched our very first fundraising campaign. You can text SHEROES to 53555 to make a tax-deductible donation through AIR or visit SHEROESradio.com. Thank you for supporting independent, femme and queer-produced audio and storytelling like the episode that you're about to enjoy. It's up to us whose voices get heard, and with your help, we'll keep turning up the volume.
I think there are, a lot of women who play music and, spread the message across, the world, and really cool. I hope those ethical DIY movement, maybe we can push more. And also, of course, the transgender communities. And, we play a lot with transgender bands on tour. We try to spread the positive vibes through the music. Every tour, we want to also bring the message. So women and transgender, I'm not into this macho, male power is not really my kind of energy, and we want to keep continuing to help these communities, and it's important. I'm Aquarius and I'm a humanitarian, and I want to be human, and I want to connect with humans, and that's my message.
That was Satomi Matsuzaki of Deerhoof, and this is SHEROES, a weekly podcast to amplify women, non-binary, and genderqueer voices in music across genres and generations. We believe that sharing our stories is the first step to making music better for everyone. I'm Carmel Holt. If you're someone that joins us here with any regularity, you know that there's an element of SHEROES that's rooted in resistance and two fundamental beliefs. Words have power, and music is one of the most potent ways to communicate. Just look back at the protest movements of civil rights, anti-war, and environmentalism. You'll find musicians on the front lines. Coming out of the commercialism of the 1980s, the onset of the 90s brought with it a disillusioned youth culture that drove new sounds, social movements, and a whole new approach for artists and record labels across a huge range of genres, including indie, DIY, grunge, riot girl, hip-hop, and alternative, and the megaphones of college radio and MTV to get those messages out. It was during this era that the band Deerhoof was founded in San Francisco, first as an improvisational duo in 1994, and then in 1995, Satomi Matsuzaki joined the band as their singer shortly after moving to the States from Japan. Their genre bending and blending and truly unclassifiable sound has been described as noise pop, experimental, no wave, post-punk, and art pop, and by one Pitchfork writer as, quote, the best band in the world. And over their 3 decades, Deerhoof has become known for its anti-capitalist, pro-social, and radical DIY approach, their anti-marketing campaigns, and use of a low-budget and eco-friendly style of production and touring. And most recently, Deerhoof has been making headlines for pulling their music off Spotify, which set off an ongoing and growing wave of other artists doing the same, citing Spotify's CEO Daniel Ek's ties and investments of millions of dollars into Helsing, which is an artificial intelligence defense company. The timing of leaving Spotify couldn't have been bolder, as Deerhoof had just released their latest sonic masterpiece, Noble and Godlike in Ruin, their 20th album, just a couple of months before. But this is exactly the kind of activism that, along with their adventurous sound, has made Deerhoof such a revered and inspiring band. I am so thrilled to welcome Satomi Matsuzaki of Deerhoof as this week's SHEROE in the spotlight. Welcome to Satomi Matsuzaki of Deerhoof. Thank you for being with us on
Oh,
SHEROES.
thank you for inviting me, Carmel.
Yeah, so when we first started to try to get this together, you were in Tokyo, I think.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just helping my mom, and I was there for a month. So this is great that I'm back in New York, and
I
same
love
time
it.
zone.
Same time zone. What a miracle.
Yes.
Well, I want to congratulate you on a bunch of big milestones. Your 20th studio album with Deerhoof, Noble and Godlike in Ruin. The 30th anniversary or 31st anniversary.
Yeah.
31st anniversary of the band, which also I think coincides, or maybe it is the 30th anniversary of you moving to the United States, right?
Yes, long time.
That's a lot to celebrate, and also anniversaries are so reflective. What have you been feeling? What's been coming up for you taking stock of the last 3 decades? Like, that's a lot.
It was like, it flew by so fast, you know?
Yeah.
Because Deerhoof has never taken a break, we just kept going.
Yeah.
And so while, I was away from Japan, so many things happened, but I also tried to keep in track, with my, community in Tokyo, because it's so important to me,
Yeah.
And I think I did great. I feel like I have like home, in Japan and here in US, and I made good friends everywhere, and I don't know, everything's like so great. I appreciate all the kindness I got, and from the band to the bandmates, and bandmates friends, friends of friends, it's really extended family now.
That's amazing. I mean, what a brave thing to do. I mean, I know you feel free to correct me at any point, but if I'm getting this right, you came to San Francisco to go to study film, right?
Study
school?
film, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, film was the reason I went there. But then, I joined the band Deerhoof like a week after I arrived, and the music became my main passion instead of film, because I thought maybe that I could still work for film through music. I just had this huge idea of like, wow, the film contains every media I like, because I like arts in general. I still draw things, or like, I like coming up with the ideas or stories, and I felt like I could use that passion to just music too. And it's just narrower concept, but I thought, I could still work with the films too. And we ended up writing music for film later. And, I felt like the dream came true.
I want to talk a little bit more about your journey, but I also want to talk about this new record. So tell us a little bit about Noble and Godlike in Ruin.
We were trying to come up with the concept of what should this next album be, like first Greg and John and we brought some snippets of ideas, and then when I listened together, one after another, I'm like, wow, this is kind of like collages, and how about like a collage album? How about like a Frankenstein idea? My bandmates never read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, but I learned Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in high school, because I went to high school in England. So I read the English class, and I felt like it's such kind of a tragedy, it's very powerful. And also I feel like I'm kind of Frankenstein because, I came from other country, something very maybe mysterious, as an existence, like an alien kind of feeling, So like, oh, how about Frankenstein? And then we all listened to this audiobook of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And then, my bandmates were also surprised, like, well, I thought it was like kind of an animation, like this scary horror character, but it's actually like a really, interesting tragic story, like a Pinocchio or like a Prometheus story, something, human created, and it became so intelligent and so sensitive, but it's so powerful that, it just became how do you call, like out of hands, like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
couldn't control. It refers to everything happening around us now and something we are scared of, all this AI,
Yes.
going wrong. And it's just a fearful, this tension, which I felt like we could create the music that resonates with what's going on. And that's how it came out.
Wow. Everything that you said is so resonant. And it's also a reminder of like how history repeats itself, or how, knowing history and studying it and being in touch with writers and thinkers and creatives as prophetic as like a Mary Shelley is so important, because it's instructive. If only we did that more, I guess,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Like if only we did that more. Why don't we play a track? Is there a song that kickstarted the whole process of Noble and Godlike in Ruin?
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the timeline of, which song that came first.
Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah.
how about immigrant song? Because, like I said, I'm an immigrant and I'm a first generation, and so I can, relate to, the immigrants right now, who are facing the deportation and, the border control. And, every time I come back from Japan, I'm like, maybe I can't come in this time,
Right.
Always I feel like, I need to be ready, But, I've been living here for 30 years, and I feel like I belong to the community here, And also, I mean, talk about the history. I mean, this is Native American land and it's not, white people's land. So,
That's right.
who owns this place? So that's why I'm like, it starts with, I'm the baker at your party and I'm a driver for you. And, we are all supporting this ground, this land together,
Yeah.
You can't have this life without these people who work there, So it's like a supporting the immigrants song.
I was the driver of the guest to your party, to your party.
That closes the new album by Deerhoof, their 20th studio album, Noble and Godlike in Ruin, immigrant songs. And we have Satomi Matsuzaki in the SHEROES Spotlight this week. I'm Carmel Holt. We were tracing the history of you and the band, Satomi, and you told us a little bit about your artistic leanings, film, art, then music that you just self-taught. You started to play bass, I think, on, was it the second record?
Yeah, I didn't really want to play bass at first because when I joined the band, there was a bass player.
Yeah.
But then, like, there was only drum and bass. And they were like, oh, we have kind of a limitation in harmony.
Yeah.
So Satomi, can you just play, just a few notes? So I only got assigned to play like 3-4 notes at the beginning.
Yeah.
And so that the bass player could play guitar. And then, from there, it's of course like, once I have bass, I'm like, why not? I want to play more, I want to play melodies. So, I mean, that's how I started.
It's an interesting instrument for women to play. Even guitar is still sort of gendered. Like I talk to people all the time about, like, for example, going into Guitar Center and feeling like they don't get really treated the same as men when they go into Guitar Center. Let's just say that.
They're like, hey, dude.
Or they just
Yo,
don't
bro.
acknowledge. Or like I've talked to women who go in there with their male partner, and the guy in Guitar Center will talk to their male partner instead of talking to them, and they'll be like, actually, dude, it's her that's here shopping, not me. And bass is
I
even
make a joke
more rare.
about the Guitar Center because
You do?
Guitar Center is a great place to go to bathroom because nobody goes to bathroom there. So when we are on tour, I said, can we do a bathroom stop? And then we go to Guitar Center. And I just go in and, they were talking to my bandmates, hey, yo, bro. And then I just go straight to bathroom.
That's amazing. So I was wondering about your journey with playing the bass.
I started the Rickenbacker and then I moved on to Hofner, which is like violin bass, which Paul McCartney used to play in Beatles, it's really small. And so I could jump around and stuff. But then Jake from Serec, from like Indianapolis, he came to our show and like, this is great bass I built for you, And he said I could put your name in it, everything. And so, he made my bass for me. And now it's more like half hollow and it's light and it's a short scale. So it's like, I'm short. So, it's very comfortable and it sounds great.
It's interesting because a lot of these instruments were actually designed for male bodies, not for women's bodies,
Yeah. There's no way I can play this upright bass, because they're like much taller than me.
Yeah.
I have many female bassist friends from Japan and, my best friend, who was gonna record this interview is also back in Japan and she's a sound engineer. She's a female. So we always talk about, let's do some kind of a female festival where all the sound engineers and like everybody are women,
Yes, I want to do that. I'm planning a festival like that. Totally. There's, it's funny because you remember the Lilith Fair in the 90s? There was Sarah McLachlan. I mean, such different genre than Deerhoof, but But it was actually a lot of different genres. There was hip hop artists, there was folky artists, there was more pop artists that played it, and this woman, Sarah McLachlan, started it, and there's a documentary out about it right now. And the whole concept was the concert promoters didn't want to put two women on the same bill. And they didn't believe that it would sell tickets. And definitely on festival lineups, there was hardly any women. And so she had this idea to start a festival to prove them wrong. And she did. It was hugely successful.
That's great.
Yeah, she did it 3 times over. It's a pretty inspirational, if you're thinking about doing that, it's a pretty inspirational documentary.
Wow, I want to see that.
Yeah. And so, I was excited to talk to you today for multiple reasons, like as an instrumentalist, as a vocalist, as someone who is first generation and a woman, what your experience has been. And you're in a band with all dudes, So
they are dudes, but their sensitivity, I have to say, is very neutral. Nobody decide for me. Like we always make sure everybody agrees, How do you call this system where we're like 4 governments,
Yes.
And so every voice counts. And I don't think we could sustain this long if that system wasn't there, to get along and to actually have 4 different ideas about music, or we listen to completely different kinds of music, and it's really, I feel so grateful that this is working.
Yes. So internally, it's great. How about on the outside world? What has that journey been like for you? In the music business, being a touring band, going in and out of studios. I mean, you guys have such a DIY spirit and, so...
DIY spirit is so good because the thing is, this is where, we are the one where we start.
Yeah.
It's like we have a starting point where we create music, but we have so much control over what we want to do.
Yeah.
And then the next step. But then the outer the space you go, it's more uncontrollable,
Yes,
Don't you think?
Exactly.
Because the maker have so much power, So I'm so glad I wasn't in the middle of I can't imagine people in the middle tormented inside, For example, how about this? We do interview and actually, here's the link to the interview, and I go to the link and there's H&M commercial or something where the interview is about, Deerhoof going against Spotify, but then there's H&M ad. And this is so difficult because how much control do we have to say no advertisement?
Yeah.
Because we don't stand for these companies,
Yes.
And so I feel from where I stand, I feel more privileged that I can say from the beginning that I don't like this, or you don't like to present our music with this advertisement. But yeah, so we're still fighting, how to survive through this uncontrollable world, So that's why like we quit Spotify to trying out how is it gonna work. But we've been around for 31 years, so hopefully we can still survive is our stance right now to the world.
And I mean, what a strong statement. And it started a whole ball rolling now, which is really starting to pick up steam. Have you noticed that?
I hope so. I just don't believe because of the egg stepped down, changed the world or changes the whole Spotify company. It's still there with the same people.
Yeah.
It's just other person gets pushed up and then has the same ideology. So it's great that there is a little bit of a change or the discussion came up. That's how it's always important that discussion comes up. And that's maybe how far we could express our hope or, how we want to live this world, But I think more people could join would be nice. The movement, bigger it is, then it's the bigger the impact.
Yeah. I mean, you make a great point as far as like coming from the before times, like I remember when, there was that whole Napster thing that happened. You know what I mean? Like, I remember, so like, we've been through this. We've been through, kind of like these hellfires of art versus commerce and capitalism. And I was thinking about this, getting ready to talk to you today, that thinking about Deerhoof and your trajectory kind of reconnected me with that ethos of the 90s. Which we forget that it was like so strongly DIY, like all of those movements, indie and DIY and anti-capitalism and like all these things that like now I feel like people are coming around to because we have to, because of how things are right now.
So how big, how strong they became.
They became, yes.
Yeah, and because capitalism is the thing about the big machine you have to grow bigger.
Yeah.
That's the goal, like development, and then the small things get sucked into. And, I'm from Japan and I believe in like small communities and I really like if the small communities can sustain by themselves. So it's the small communities become the one supportive living world, because then it's more creative too, I can't talk about my community without that retail store on my street kind of thing, we are all friends with that grandma, all these mom and pop shops, and my mom's community pay for this retail store to survive, like, because we don't want that to be taken away by Starbucks or something,
Right.
And I feel like we lived in San Francisco. That's where this DIY community was so strong. And I moved to San Francisco because I really liked that, wow, this big America has such a cool city where, all these DIY musicians gather and they have shows every day. And, they go to Rainbow Grocery Store and it's, like, I don't know, very ethical living. I still feel like I haven't forgot where I came from.
And how does that translate in living in New York City?
Yeah, New York City is great. Also, like, small communities everywhere. I mean, many different people from different cultures. And, this street is like, from this country. And like, it's really fun, just like Tokyo. I feel like the musicians are many more.
Yeah.
So the communities seem more scattered. I can't really, I don't know. It's like a smudged or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a splotches, like a Jackson Pollock paintings or something.
That's such a good analogy. Totally.
Yeah, I can't quite grasp what's going on.
Yeah.
But then I meet people here and there everywhere and it's kind of fun. It's like a surprise. San Francisco was more like you can actually understand, and I have friends here, and then it was easier to understand.
It was slower too. Much slower than New York.
Here, very fast, and
yeah.
I'm kind of slow too, so it's sometimes hard to catch up.
Slower is better.
Yeah, I'm like, let's slow down, everyone.
We all
you know?
need to slow down. We all need to
Yeah.
slow down. Why don't we spin another track from Noble and Godlike in Ruin? Do you have a favorite track?
Well, we've been playing Sparrow Sparrow, which is quite cool. Ed came up with this guitar riff, and I feel like it's like birds chirping, and chirping back. And then we are all like talking, but it's kind of like singing. Yeah, it's really Sparrow Sparrow feeling.
Sparrow, sparrow, what have you done? I believe you. Maybe you let me be your friend. Maybe you'll teach me what's a friend. Don't wanna hurt you.
That's called Sparrow Sparrow, the second song on the new Deerhoof album, Noble and Godlike in Ruin. I love that title so much. It's the 20th album for Deerhoof, and we have Satomi Matsuzaki here with us on SHEROES. They're singer, they're bassist. You write all the lyrics too, I think, right?
Well, we collaborate. I write, sometimes, and, Greg writes a lot too. And we collaborate.
I started to ask you some questions around gender and music, but I wanted to come back around to that since we're in the SHEROES conversation. You said something about your friend in Tokyo who's an engineer, a woman who's an engineer, and you kind of dream about having a festival where it's all staffed by women too. Do you see that there has been any shift? Like, what have you seen as far as equality in gender in music?
I think there are, a lot of women who play music and, spread the message across, the world, and really cool. I hope those ethical DIY movement, maybe we can push more. And also, of course, the transgender communities. And,
Yes.
We play a lot with transgender bands on tour, like
Awesome.
especially, we try to spread the positive vibes through the music. And, we recently played with this band called 10 Life from, they're from Houston, but we played in Texas. And, it's really cool hardcore band, with the transgender guitar player in the band. And every tour, we want to also bring the message. So women and transgender and, like male power is not really, my kind of energy. And I really like to make it more, the bigger.
Yeah.
So we want to keep, continuing to help, these communities. And it's important, like a Frankenstein, like
Yes.
we are different, but, we are, very intelligent and very sensitive. And then we are human. And, I'm Aquarius and I'm a humanitarian, and, I want to be human, and I want to connect with humans. And that's my message.
Yeah, and that comes through really clearly on the record too. And I feel like that's always been kind of present in Deerhoof's music. And there's always this, coexistence between like noise and resistance and joy and sweetness, that's always been a part of what you do.
Yeah, it's a whole mixtures of feeling and the intensity and the uncomfortableness, because it's always uncomfortable, to live in this difficult world. And we understand the difficulties,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Like we try. I mean, I'm not saying nobody understands or the men that don't understand, but it's not one-sided. You have to see from every side,
Yeah.
And you have to also stand in other people's shoe, And that's why I always have kind of hesitation to do interviews, because I don't want to say something, irresponsible.
Right.
I think the words have such a heavy weight.
Power, yeah.
Power, yeah. So when I deliver something, like I don't want to say something that I don't mean to, or I want to be like, it's great to be pinpoint or like good, like.
Right,
Yeah.
thoughtful about your words. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, careful. Yeah, I understand. Satomi, I didn't know whether you were a mother or not. It hasn't been mentioned in any of the press, but I didn't want to make an assumption that you weren't either.
No, I'm no mother.
So, any thoughts about being a woman doing this job and motherhood?
I mean, I don't want to speak for the band, but
Yeah.
like partially, it's not like I decided, okay, I wasn't going to have a baby, but we always felt like the band felt like, well, it's not quite a good world to have children
Kids.
right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like maybe I grew up in a very good timing. But also, I'm an only child, and my parents didn't quite suffer or like didn't have to work so much. I mean, even though they worked so much, I would not want to have me if I were a mother. I don't want like me as a child.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just we don't want children to suffer. Yeah, if the world is better place, I don't know if I would even feel that way. Back in 30 years ago, but. Maybe that's how I feel.
Yeah. Have you connected with many other women doing music that were meaningful connections for you?
Yeah, Yuka Honda, we hung out together. She's really like who I look up to. She has her vision and she has more maybe stronger character or something. Like I'm more kind of laid back, I guess. I'm more like whatever. But yeah, she's great. I always like listen to her like, oh yeah, I learned so much from you, Oh,
Making
one more
music.
film. I want to mention this band because I want people to listen to or see their live show. We recently played with this band called Wet Dip from
Okay.
Austin. They are so good, and the guitar player is, I think she's descent from Mexico or something, and so she's like sometimes sing in Spanish and like
Cool.
she sings in English, but she's like super cool and like. The whole band, that the music is so good too, and like maybe interviewing her would be also like super nice
Awesome.
because like she's no immigrant, but living in Texas, I was very curious
I
because
know,
we
yeah.
went to Texas and then people are like, oh, thank you for coming to Texas. Like I thought you guys didn't want to come here because what's going on there,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they were like thanking us like thank you, and please come back because we are fighting, like they are fighting inside.
Right. Within that system.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's interesting too, because just thinking about the Spotify thing, do you know who Fabi Reina is? She Shreds, remember that magazine?
She played in Sleater Kinney.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. I saw her played in Sleater Kinney and I'm like, wow, what are you doing there?
She's amazing.
She's amazing. It's a great show too. She's a great performer too.
Yeah. And she has a new band now called Reina Tropical, which
Oh, cool. I wanna hear
highly
that.
recommend.
Yeah.
And what an incredible performer. But she just posted on Instagram like a couple of days ago her perspective on leaving Spotify.
Yeah.
And she was saying how, Sylvanesso, who are her label mates, they just pulled all their music from Spotify too. And she is not pulling her music from Spotify yet, but she explained why. It's an interesting thing to read. You don't have to get too deep into it right now. But basically, you just reminded me of it as far as the Texas conversation, because part of her argument for staying was that she wanted to be resisting from the inside. She didn't want her voice, which is queer and Latina, to leave. She wanted to be there, to be the voice of resistance.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their, way to resist. And, Deerhoof is not critical of other bands not joining, leaving Spotify. I mean, I think that's great, whatever people can do to survive. I mean, I want her to survive.
Yeah.
That's the main thing,
That is the main
living,
thing, right?
Yeah, we have to keep living. So
Yeah. So when you're booking your tours, just knowing again that Deerhoof walks the talk, to stay clear of like, what you said, like the outside world being kind of uncontrollable and
Right.
advertisements and corporate
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Like, how do you handle all of that?
Yeah, I mean, luckily, we've survived 31 years, so we still get invited to, play at the festival that is for the good cause or the good communities or like just people who vibes with us,
Yeah.
And we connect deeply, and I think our name's known, so that's the lucky part that, we still get invited, I think, I still don't know how we are still able to keep going. You just asked me a question that I'm like, that's right. Why are we still, getting invited? I just, it's a miracle. I'm grateful. I don't know what to say.
I mean, I didn't ask you why. I know why, because you guys are the best. You're so awesome. You're so inspiring. I wanted you to be part of the archive of SHEROES doing music because you are one. And it's so important for younger generations, again, threading that needle, to know about Deerhoof, to know about what you stand for, to learn from you and see you standing by your ideals and resisting the corporate machines.
Thank you.
It's not.
But how we started, we stand our ground, and we don't want to cheat on people's, what Deerhoof, has been about and who we are and just honesty,
Right. Integrity too. Yeah. Being
Integrity,
trustworthy. Right.
Humans.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
It's been so amazing to talk to you and spend a little time with you,
Carmel.
Satomi. Before we wrap up today, I do an exercise at the end asking my guests to do some manifesting. Are you ready to manifest?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to give you an imaginary SHEROES magic wand.
Okay.
And you get to wave the wand and make a wish to change anything in the music industry, but it's specific for cis and trans women, non-binary people, queer people, any marginalized people in our industry. If you had this magic wand in your hand, first wave of the wand, what you would change?
I would change that we all get together and sing to the world. I want to meet them all.
Unify all of our voices together. I love that. Satomi, what a pleasure. Let's go out with a track from the record. I was thinking maybe King Toe. What do you think?
Okay, cool. Yes.
Do you want to tell us anything about this song before we go into it?
Yeah, it's really kind of like, you can dance to King Toe, but also like this very strange, weird twang or I don't know, this, like a noise coming and it's kind of creepy danceable song. I hope you guys enjoy.
Thank you, Satomi. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Massive thanks to Satomi Matsuzaki of Deerhoof for being with us. Noble and Godlike in Ruin. Their 20th album is out now on Joyful Noise Recordings. SHEROES is produced by me, is mixed and mastered by Kelly Drake. Our original theme music is by Lucius. Our podcast is distributed by Talkhouse. SHEROES is also a nationally syndicated radio show. Please visit SHEROESradio.com to find out more. Keep in touch on Instagram at SHEROES Radio, and please consider leaving us a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also subscribe to our new YouTube channel, SHEROES Productions. SHEROES is 100% independent and is made possible through the support of our public radio affiliates and now listeners like you. Through a new partnership with the nonprofit AIR, the Association of Independents in Radio, we've launched our very first fundraising campaign. Text SHEROES to 53555. That's SHEROES to 53555 to make a tax-deductible donation through AIR or visit SHEROESradio.com. Thank you for supporting independent, femme, and queer-produced audio and storytelling. And until next time, remember, music is our superpower. I'm Carmel Holt. Thanks for listening. Also from SHEROES Productions, take a journey on the road to Joni, an Ambie Award-nominated 10-episode series celebrating the legacy and impact of Joni Mitchell. Distributed by Talkhouse. Subscribe now to The Road to Joni wherever you get your podcasts.